he's been saying that he has to play. Can't afford to sit. As Brown was not looking for the pass, and it's a turnover. Kennard fires and hits.
Back on the court. He missed it, and the fans missed him.
Kennard from mid-range, and the Clippers have scored the last 10.
You know, I was watching the Clippers versus Lakers game. I wanted to definitely check it out and give you my opinion on it. And you know, I'm starting to see some things from the Clippers that I don't like, and I wanted to address that. But I still want to give the Clippers credit. Shout out to the Clippers for getting the victory. Paul George started out very hot, ended up with about 30 points, 29 points, I believe. You know, they had some good contributions, a little bit from everybody. Everybody chipped in. Norman Powell had a pretty big game off the bench, I thought. He played very sound and, you know, up to the level of expectancy of his game. He played very well. I like what Luke Kennard came in and gave him, and Terrence Mann, he came in and gave him some good minutes too. So there again, as I said, the two guys off the bench that always have to be consistent in giving them points or some type of production is Luke Kennard and or Terrence Mann. They have to have production from both or one of those two coming off the bench every night, because they're just important to the team. They knock down big shots, especially Luke Kennard. He knocks down big shots all the time. And, you know, T-Man, he gets after it on defense, and he can, you know, get to the rim pretty easily too at times when he really wants to, so when he's aggressive. So definitely seeing them two have an imprint on the game definitely made a huge difference to me. And the fact that overall the Clippers shot very well from the field. Paul George was efficient too, but you know, the Lakers are not a team that's going anywhere anytime soon. I think they're 2-9 now. They're just not a good team, and they don't have good chemistry to me, and they don't practice good habits. And I just feel like the Lakers are just a team that's like, you know, flooding basically, almost the same way they did last year. And I said going into the season, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, the Lakers would basically, you know, have a reenactment of last year, another situation like last year, and they did. Or so far this season they are, because they're not playing with the type of chemistry that a top, you know, three top 75 players on one team should be playing with. They should be playing with better chemistry. They should have more conciseness in regards to how they go into games, who's the leading scorer, you know, how they're gonna get points from one another and help others around them play better. They should have that, you know, down pat by now, or at least have an idea how to do that, and they just seem like they don't. The Lakers just seem like they're lost. But as far as the Clippers that I want to touch on, there was a stretch in that game where the Clippers didn't score for about 5 or 6 minutes. And there again, as I always say, the Clippers, they get stagnant on defense and they settle for a lot of three-pointers. And just because the three-pointers going in doesn't mean you have to shoot them all game. You know, you can, when you're hot from three, you know, that's fine, but you can mix it up. I mean, mix it up and, you know, be aggressive. Go to the paint, draw fouls. PG got in foul trouble with like 3 fouls at one point, and they took him out. But he was mad about that. But still, the Clippers just get so, you know, like stagnant with their offense. And at times, they just let things happen on defense that they shouldn't let happen, because they should be a better defensive team. And that's the thing with the Clippers. When they really want to play defense and lock down defensively, they will. And it just takes too much to get them to get up to do that at times. Now, they do get up for the Lakers, don't get me wrong, but my point is, you can't have situations like that in games where you're just settling for threes and the three is not falling. I've said this last video, if you live by the three, you die by the three. If you keep settling for it, even though that's what got you the lead early point in the game, you cooled off after a while. When you cool off from the three, it's not falling, it's not going in. That's when everybody on the team needs to become aggressive, go to the paint, draw fouls, get to the free throw line and get some easy points. And keep the defense of the other team on their heels while they're trying to figure out what you're trying to do on offense. Don't be predictable where they know you're going to keep shooting, and it's going to allow them to come back into the game. Because honestly, the Lakers came back in this game twice, because they were down like 17. They came back and tied it. Then they were down like 8 or 10 later on in the game, like late third quarter, I think fourth quarter, and they came back and tied the game again. Now they couldn't, you know, sustain, keep going and take the lead and keep going. going, but still, this is my point. You're putting yourself in a bad position if you're the Clippers, because you're going through lapses in games where you should be more dominant, and on top of that, you should be more efficient in regards to the highest quality shot possible that you could find. And the Clippers, they got size, they got wings, they got big guys. Paul George is long with length. He can get to the basket whenever he want to. And like I said, Paul George had the jumper going tonight, so you couldn't really say nothing bad about him. But I would like to see Paul George a little bit more aggressive than settle for a lot of jumpers the way he does, though, because I feel like when you're settling for a lot of jumpers, it's good when it's falling in. Shout out to him for being the Western Conference Player of the Week. But the reason why I think Paul George's game fades away sometime during the season, or as most people think in the playoffs, way off, playoff P, whatever people want to call him, which I think he's definitely erased some of that way off P stuff, but that's just my opinion. I feel like he's done a lot better since then, but the reason why I feel like his game kind of fades a little bit sometime in the playoffs is because he's settling for all jumpers. He's not really mixing it up with being aggressive enough, of allowing his game to have more balance. When Paul George is hot, he won't stop shooting the whole time. He'll just keep shooting threes and shooting jumpers and step backs. All that's fine, but when you're really not, when you don't have that balance in your game of being aggressive and shooting the jumper, it really makes you predictable and it makes you limited over time, or depending on what team you play in a 7-game series, when they're looking at the tape on you and trying to figure out your strength and weaknesses. And this is my thing, with the Clippers, they have to find a way to understand. As I said, when a three is not falling, you have to learn to be aggressive. You can't keep shooting threes, because you let the Lakers come back from a 17-point lead to tie the game. You was up by 8 or 10 points later on in that game. They came back and tied it again. If that was a good team, or should I say a better team than the Lakers, they would have came back and beat the Clippers probably, because they would have took that momentum and drove it a little bit further, because if they're a better team, they practice better habits. So, they're not going to beat themselves. They're going to, do everything they can and capitalize on every mistake that you make. That's what good teams do. And this is the reason why I said if that was a good team they played, against the Lakers, or rather than the Lakers, they probably would have ended up getting beat, because the Clippers have too many lagging moments, and they don't have enough continuity on the court to, make up for those lagging moments if they're playing good teams. Luckily, they played a team like the Lakers who really doesn't have a direction. They don't have no identity. They don't have anything. And all they have is an aging superstar and Anthony Davis who just can't cut it, play at the aggressive level they want him to. And Russell Westbrook is, still a turnover machine. And as I said before, they just don't have enough shooting around them to be the team they need to be. The Clippers do. They have enough around them to do what they need to do. They got enough three-point shooters and everything like that, but sometimes I feel like that could be the Achilles heel of the Clippers, because they got so many shooters around them. They just abuse it too much at times, and you allow teams to get the best of you at times, certain points in the game when you shouldn't. Now the Clippers are 7-5. They're moving on up the ladder, 2 games above 500. Hopefully they can extend that and keep it going, but they have to understand though, gotta execute at the highest level as possible. John Wall came in there playing aggressive as he always does, things like that, making some pretty good passes and stuff like that. And like Zubac was playing pretty good, man, getting some rebounds, going out there, sacrificing his body in the paint. You gotta reward the big man and stuff for that, and definitely shout out to him for that. But overall, the Clippers played good as a team. As I said, they went through that stretch where it just looked like, oh, okay, they're gonna let the Lakers back in the game. The Lakers come back and tie it after being down 17, and it seems like every time the Clippers play the Lakers, they always seem to take their foot off the gas, just because the Clippers know they're a better team. But there again, when you exercise good habits, you don't want to even do that. You want to put your foot on the Lakers' neck and keep them down, and don't allow them to come back in games, because if you practice that bad habit with the Lakers, that bad habit is going to roll over to other games when you're playing better competition, and you might find yourself losing games that you're not supposed to lose. And when you do that now, because we have a play-in tournament, you can find yourself in the play-in tournament if you're not the 6th seed or better going into the playoffs. I think the Clippers definitely could be better than a 6th seed, but if they screw screw around and let teams get the best of them sometime, as they've done as they've done already, letting OKC beat them twice in one season, and losing in games they shouldn't lose. I mean, they've already done that. So, I mean, they've already seen some of their weaknesses come back to haunt them. So they need to find a way to, touch up some of those weaknesses and get better in those areas, and find a way to get Kawhi Leonard back on the floor. They say his timetable of return is not sure, but at the same time, I still think, there's a good amount of time for him to get, treatment he needs and come back and play at a high level as he once did. Hopefully that's a lot sooner than later, but shout out to the Clippers for getting the victory tonight against the Lakers. I'm pretty sure they'll play them again this season, and I'm pretty sure the outcome will be the same. And I did predict this score to be a 1-point game. It wasn't that, but I mean, I did predict the Clippers would win, and they did do that. So that's the main thing. And as I said, shout out to the Clippers and the Lakers for a good game. But the best man won. The best man was the Clippers this time, and the Clippers are moving on to the next with a winning record, 2 games over 500. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section. Check my other videos if you haven't. And hey, till next time.